My dear viewers, hello and welcome to a new episode of our program Inside Egypt, during which we're going to bring you the latest political, economic and also social events that are taking place in Egypt. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi visits Portugal on Monday, his first visit to the country since Portuguese President Marcelo de Souza took office in March of last year. Ahead of the visit, a Portuguese news agency conducted an interview with the president where he talked about the latest developments in the country as well as a number of regional and international issues. Al-Sisi also said that inflammatory statements by U.S. President-elect Donald Trump during his campaign trail do not necessarily reflect the actions he will take as a president. Al-Sisi also went on to say that one shouldn't jump into conclusions or worry about future U.S. actions or policies in the Middle East. The president also noted that Trump would, without a doubt, make a strong leader, adding that he believed that Trump would be vigorously engaged with the issues in the region. El-Sisi was among the very first foreign leaders to congratulate Trump on his presidential victory. Speaking about the economic situation, El-Sisi said that his administration is committed to safeguarding low-bracket citizens at the backdrop of the recent economic reforms announced by the government. The House of Representatives approved a bill to regulate non-governmental organizations. The Parliament approved all the 89 articles of the bill, but set it to the State Council for review and will hold a final vote on it later. Details in the following report.
Parliament approved the bill to regulate non-governmental organizations. The bill, which is subject to a final vote, bans any civil society work that does not fall under its regulation, restricts NGO activity to developmental and social work, and introduces jail terms of up to 5 years for non-compliance. It also bans NGOs from conducting field work or polls without permission or from cooperating in any way with an international body without the necessary approval. The bill stipulates that foreign NGOs be overseen by a regulating agency that includes representatives of the military, general intelligence, and the Interior Ministry. Egypt has accused some NGOs of receiving foreign funding to sow chaos. Parliament approved all 89 articles of the bill but sent it to the State Council for review and will hold a final vote on it later. The government had been working on a similar bill for the past 2 years, but four lawmakers drafted their own version, which Parliament began debating on Monday. Legal Affairs Minister Magdi Laghetti said the government would submit notes on Parliament's bill. Social Solidarity Minister Gheda Wali, whose ministry regulates the NGO sector, also confirmed the government will submit official comments on the law.
While Cairo offered to host a Palestinian national dialogue between different Palestinian political forces, the offer was made after Palestinian delegation visit to Cairo. The talks covered developments related to the Palestinian cause. Details in the following report.
Cairo is ready to host and sponsor a national dialogue between different Palestinian political forces. Egyptian authorities made the statement after a visit by the Palestinian Jihad delegation headed by Secretary General Ramadan Chala. The talks covered developments related to the Palestinian cause, which Chala reviewed the organization's efforts and suggestions for a Palestinian reconciliation. The Palestinian cause remains a priority for Egyptian foreign policy, as Egypt is keen on the unity of Palestinian forces and on supporting all efforts related to achieving the independence of the Palestinian people. Officials pointed out to the opening of the Rafah border with Gaza for humanitarian relief and said there would be further efforts undertaken by the Egyptian side. Last week, President Fattah al-Sisi ordered the opening of the border crossing for 4 days from Monday till Friday. Shell and his accompanying delegation talked of the circumstances that the Palestinians were facing in Gaza Strip and what the occupation forces were doing in terms of oppressive policies and procedures. The delegation praised Egypt's role in working towards Palestinian unity, welcoming Egypt's decision on the opening of the border crossing. Relations between Fatah and Hamas, the two leading Palestinian factions, have been strained since the two groups faced off in violent clashes in Gaza in 2005. Since then, Hamas has ruled the Gaza Strip, while Fatah, which is backed by various Arab and Western governments, has controlled the occupied West Bank. Cairo has maintained an affirmative sponsorship of the peace process, with President Fattah al-Sisi making a call in early May calling for Palestinian reconciliation. Al-Sisi addressed Israeli and Palestinian leaders, stressing that peace, prosperity and cooperation would only take place if both parties are able to reach a two-state solution. The address was welcomed by Israel, Hamas and Fatah.
Well, on the occasion of the International Day for Tolerance, Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tayyib, called for spreading the culture of tolerance, peace and coexistence between different peoples and nations. Details in the following report.
In a message to the world, Al-Azhar Grand Imam Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tayyib called for spreading the culture of tolerance, peace and coexistence among the sons of the same country and between different peoples and nations. Tayyib's message, that was directed to all nations, regional and international organizations and scholars, comes on the occasion of the International Day for Tolerance. The International Day for Tolerance is an annual observance declared by UNESCO in 1995 to generate public awareness of the danger of intolerance. It is observed on the 16th of November. Tayyip underlined the importance of working for holding high the values of tolerance, citizenship and dialogue instead of violence and hatred to preserve the stability of nations. Peace, tolerance, dialogue and respect of the other humanity are teachings adopted by divine religions and humanitarian traditions, according to Al-Tayyib. He added that Al-Azhar is working for spreading such teachings across the world. Meanwhile, Al-Azhar strongly condemned the violations and massacres carried out against the Muslim minority in Myanmar, urging the international community and international organizations to intervene to hold such massacres and brutality. In a statement, Al-Azhar said that it follows incidents taking place in Rakhine region in Myanmar against Rohingya Muslims with deep concern.
And now it's time for the latest updates from the military activities for this week with Yasmin Ibrahim.
Egypt and Jordan held joint military drills entitled Aqaba 2016 in southern Jordan and will continue until the 25th of November. Egypt's military spokesman said that the Egyptian naval, ground and special army forces are participating in the drills. The training includes lectures on launching joint missions and field trainings on conventional and non-traditional theories and tactics to develop operational readiness and share the experiences with the Jordanian armed forces. Egypt has carried out 30 joint military exercises in 2020, partnering with 20 different Arab and African countries, as well as European countries, including France and Russia. 9 Takfiris were killed in an exchange of fire with army forces in northern Sinai as part of the comprehensive Operation Martyr's Right aimed at uprooting terrorism. 40 IEDs were defused and amounts of ammunition were seized during the raid. The terrorist group launched deadly attacks against the police and army personnel stationed in northern Sinai. Therefore, an extensive counterinsurgency operation was launched to fight terrorism. Naval forces rescued a tourist yacht at Marsa Alam City with 33 persons on board after encountering technical problems. In the Red Sea received a distress call from diving yacht after its engine broke down. Naval units rushed to the scene and evacuated 24 tourists and 9 crew members who were on board. The yacht was towed to the naval base for repairs. Meanwhile, the naval forces seized 2 Italian fishing vessels while illegally fishing in the Egyptian territorial waters. The 2 boats were carrying 14 persons of different nationalities.
في 18 من نوفمبر عام 2005 توفي حسين الشافعي نائب رئيس الجمهورية الأسبق عن عمر ناهز 87 عاما. كان أحد أعضاء حركة الضباط الأحرار. ولد في 8 من فبراير عام 1918. شغل منصب وزير الحربية عام 1954 وفي عام 1963.
Now we're going to have a look at the Tourist magazine, which brings us interesting news related to tourists and attractive destinations in Egypt with Abir Mtwali.
Following diplomatic and archaeological procedures, Egypt succeeded in returning 2 lids that had been stowed and illegally smuggled out of the country. Shaban Abdel Gawad, the General Supervisor of the Antiquities Recreation Department, said that both lids were stolen through illegal excavation and then smuggled out of the country to Jerusalem via Dubai through an Israeli antiquities trader. Abdel Gawad explained that the Israeli Antiquities Authority and the Jerusalem Interpol noticed both lids in the showroom of an auction hall in Jerusalem in 2012, and the Jerusalem Interpol reported the incident to the Egyptian Interpol, who in return passed the information on to the Antiquities Ministry. Curators from the Grand Egyptian Museum restored and packaged artifacts at San al-Hagar Museum in the Tal Basta archaeological site in the Delta in order to transport them to the as yet unopened museum in Cairo. Isa Zidan, head of the restoration department at the new museum, said that the artifacts, including objects from different eras of ancient Egyptian history. Among the most important are a limestone relief depicting a supervisor of a royal war chariots named Hassan Tah and his wife, as well as a collection of late-period sphinxes and sacrilege of priest Sobek and limestone statues from Middle Kingdom. A number of Greco-Roman limestone heads area also among the batch, as well as pieces of mummy masks made from cartonnage. The objects were packed in order to be transferred to the new museum early next week, where they will be subjected to restoration and added to the permanent displays.
Well, with this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of our program Inside Egypt, during which we've brought you the latest political, economic, and also social events that are taking place in Egypt. I hope you've enjoyed being with me. Please wait for me next Sunday. Until then, it's goodbye.